Welcome into Oscars Happy Hour here in lovely Los Angeles, California, home of the Oscars. It's a little bit far from my place here in Burbank, but I mean, it's down the street technically. I could get down to Hollywood pretty quick. Thanks for joining here. We talk about the Oscars every day this week. We're going to do Oscars Happy Hour, which is essentially we're going to break down some categories and talk about obviously the frontrunners, contenders, all those things as we progress here throughout the week. I think today I really want to talk about tech. And anytime you have a comment, hit me and we will certainly add this to the stream. But let's start with some categories. I'm going to fire up awardsace.com, which is, of course, my site. And we are going to look at production design first. That's what I want to do. Production design, for those of you who do not know, is world building, right? So it is the process of building the film world that you are experiencing. And without question, when you look at production design and world building, Dune is the obvious front runner here. And if you look on Awards Ace right now, you can see I have it with the trophy, with the Oscar. It's won BAFTA, it's won the Art Directors Guild, and it's also won Critics' Choice. Those are the three major precursors for this category, production design. So Dune is right there. Behind it, Nightmare Alley. Nightmare Alley has an ADG win as well. So that one, though, was a period piece. So Dune is sci-fi, and then, of course, Nightmare Alley is a period. So those are your two top contenders. I still think this is pretty much a runaway for Dune. You look at, obviously, the three wins very clearly, makes it the front runner. If you're talking about world building, production design, then you are looking at Dune as your number one contender across the board. This is going to be a category that it should win on Sunday. West Side Story, it's there. You know, obviously you had to build that world out, going back in time and do that. Anytime you're doing world building and you're talking about a period piece, that's where the true effort comes in creating that universe, such as, look at Licorice Pizza. Not my favorite movie, but very good production design. Power of the Dog, excellent production design there, but it does not have any of the precursors. So I know that Netflix really pushed Power of the Dog and tried to get it there. Just didn't happen. They had a number of events, and I think they still think they have an outside shot, but really I have it in fourth place. And then last place, Tragedy Macbeth, a film that a lot of people, film Twitter loved, Tragic Macbeth. Nothing wrong with that. But what you also need to know is that when you watch Tragic Macbeth, is that the average person does not love that movie. Okay? So that means the average voter. So they admire aspects of it. Denzel, and here, production design, cinematography. We're going to get to cinematography in a minute. Those are the things that they value about Tragic Macbeth. So that is in last place. So right now, listen, Dune's going to take it. Dune's got production design pretty much locked up. And we're going to swing now to cinematography. Let me go back and hit it. So again, same thing we just had with Dune. It is your front runner. Dune here, cinematography, Greg Fraser just won last night for the Cinematographers Guild. So it has that. It has BAFTA. Did not win Critics' Choice. Critics' Choice went with Power of the Dog. Ari Wegner's a fantastic story here. Female cinematographer. Her time will come. I think it is in second place right now. There is a shot that Power of the Dog comes up there at cinematography and wins. But I still think prohibitively, we're really looking at the favorite is absolutely Dune, because you have the precursors. You have Greg Fraser, who is really at this point one of the preeminent cinematographers. And if we had any question about that, we were answered those with Dune and, of course, The Batman, which I expect to see The Batman in the cinematography mix next year for Oscars 2023, because Greg Fraser is that respected. And it should be something that will happen. I just don't see how that doesn't happen, where The Batman gets a cinematography nom. I gotta say, when you look at cinematography, you know, they do a good job. The nominating board that goes through the films, there's a lot of times in these categories they miss. I think cinematography is one that they do a very good job of identifying cinematography in films that is exceptional. And you look at all of the nominees here. Dune, clearly. Power of the Dog. West Side Story. That is one of that film's great strengths. Editing, cinematography. Nightmare Alley, same thing. Cinematography, without question. It's got BAFTA, it's got the Cinematographers Guild, and it's also got Critics' Choice. And then Tragic Macbeth, again, tech issues. Tech things with Tragic Macbeth that is where you're going to identify that film's going to do well. But it's just really nominations. It's not going to win because the film is not beloved. And also, Dune. You're not going to win when Dune's in there. Dune is just that good on a tech level that it will and should win production design, cinematography, and our next category, which is going to be score. And same thing we have. We got a Dune triple threat today as I dig for my scores. There it is. And we scroll down here and we see Hans there at the #1 spot for Dune. Has the BAFTA win, Critics' Choice, and Golden Globes. So you have the 3 major precursors, all with the win for Dune. Power of the Dog with Johnny Greenwood. Now, for me personally, Johnny Greenwood, his best score this year was Spencer. Okay, it was not Power of the Dog. That said, Johnny Greenwood is a massive talent, and obviously I have no problem with him being nominated here. I just wish I saw Spencer here as well as Power of the Dog, but we didn't. We got Power of the Dog. Netflix really went hard at this. A couple weeks ago, last week, gosh, time's been flying, I went to an event for Power of the Dog where they did the live score. So they take the score and strip it out of the film, and then they add it back in with the orchestra that's right there, live, as the film plays up on the stage. And it was one of these FYC events that really makes a major impact. If you're watching that and you are, just in the audience, the power of that, the moment that those cellos hit, you're just like, whoa, this is something special. So I give Netflix credit, and they have it right there in the 2 spot. I just don't think you're going to beat Hans in his work. It's just so singular, the work that he did for Dune. And it's got all the precursor wins, so Dune pretty much has this locked up. Power of the Dog in 2. Nicholas Britell, another tremendous talent when it comes to composing and to score. Don't Look Up is there, and then Encanto and Parallel Mothers, just happy to get an invite. But Dune's going to walk away with that. So really, tech-wise, you're talking about Dune with all these wins. There's 3 right there. And also, I still think it's in the mix for costume, although really it's Cruella. And we'll talk about that certainly throughout the week as well. But I want to make mention that as we look at Oscar voting that ends tomorrow, and we look at the preferential ballot is so key to winning this thing. It's not the same as in the old days where you just say, this is my #1 pick. You have to rank them 1 through 10. And that's why when we really want to drill down on these films, and I'll pull up Best Picture because every day we need to talk about Best Picture. It's the #1 trophy. You all know it. Right now, the front runner is Coda. Okay, so as we look at Coda, it's going to perform very well on a preferential ballot. I mean, it's got the PGA win from Saturday night. You win the Producers Guild, you are virtually guaranteed a win in Best Picture. It's not a 1-to-1, but let me say this, it's the #1 precursor. So when you win PGA, everyone's like, well, Coda's probably going to win Best Picture, and right now it looks like it. It's between Coda and Power of the Dog. And you look at the major precursors. Coda has PGA, it has SAG. Power of the Dog has DGA and BAFTA. Those are 2 very strong precursors as well. But again, the top 2 for me, if I'm looking at them, PGA and SAG, and Coda has it. So right now, it is very close, but I think with a preferential ballot, you're going to see Coda, and you're going to see the win there, which will be huge for Apple. Look at Apple. I mean, coming out of nowhere. Last year, Apple had The Banker. Was that last year? And it was just pretty much their only thing. And they really tried to make something happen. Everyone was like, I don't know about Apple. They're new to the game. How quickly they have come up and become a force. If Coda wins, they win Best Picture before Netflix. And Netflix been at this for a while. Go back to Roma in 2018. So 4 years of really trying to get that Best Picture title has not happened for them. So that's their mission, is to get that done. And wouldn't it be something if Apple comes in and takes it? I know Netflix would not be happy about that. But right now, if you're asking me, what am I betting for? I am betting my money on Coda to win, especially in a preferential ballot, because you're looking at a film that's probably going to be in the top of most people's ballot because they're not going to dislike the film. It might not be #1, but it'll be 2, 3, 4. And you're going to have people that certainly do have it #1. You need to have that to win. But when it's up at the top, then that's going to help you as they go through this long process of the preferential ballot, which is super duper intricate, and it's the kind of thing that if we started getting into it, your mind starts to just go off into the hinterland. So I think that really when you look at preferential ballot, bottom line is you want a film that is going to be very high on the list, in the top half of the list versus the bottom half. And I think Coda is going to be there. Belfast is certainly going to be there. And Power of the Dog is going to have a lot of number one votes. That's the issue comes beyond that. I think it could be further down the ballot for some of these voters for the Oscars. And if that's the case, then that's going to drop it down, which means Coda would take the win. Right now, Coda's the favorite. Apple, over the moon if that happens. Netflix, not happy, and they'll regroup again next year. But remember this, Apple has Killers of the Flower Moon next year. Scorsese's new one. So that gives them the number one film in Oscars 2023 in so many categories. You have that already. So Apple wins. If they win with Coda, they'll already have the film that looks like it's going to win next year. So here they come. They have a massive war chest. They can throw as much money as they want at these things, just like Netflix. You got the two big dogs, and Amazon's right there too. They just have to get the right film. Amazon still has not had that. Sound of Metal was the closest thing they've had. They thought it would be being the Ricardos. It didn't happen. So, there's their landscape here. As we get ready to roll through the week, nice little tight introduction to Oscars 2022 coming up on Sunday. Go to awardsace.com for the very latest on all of these categories. We've got all 23 categories there for you in the front runner, and then if that front runner does not win, next in line, because that is the case. We are not going to see all these front runners win. There's going to be a surprise or two. But right now, Coda, Best Picture, that's where I'm putting my money. And I still think Jane Campion wins for director, even with what happened at Critics' Choice. We'll talk about that throughout the week. But thank you for joining us here. Oscars Happy Hour. Thanks. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. We'll talk again tomorrow at 4 o'clock. My time, 7 o'clock your time if you're in New York or wherever you are. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye. Peace out.